Hello and welcome to another Just Digital Media screencast. Today I'm just going to be chatting to Nigel about the digital life cycle and giving you an overview of all elements of the lifetime of a digital object. We'll be looking at a generic life cycle, and we'll have a graphic illustration of that. This life cycle is really going to be applicable to any digital object. You will need to adapt and customize it given the needs of your project. Obviously, each digitization project has different priorities.
Yeah, these might be technical considerations, financial, legal, that may mean you've got to adapt this process.
So there are going to be several things that you should keep in mind when designing your project and managing it. All of these are elements that Just Digital Media can help with, be it with technical advice on producing video materials, which Stephen supports, audio, which is my specialised subject, or still image, which is Nigel's. We also advise on metadata management and project management. So the digital lifecycle starts with three main areas of data production. Those are born digital objects which have been produced originally in the digital domain or repurposed from a previously existing digital object. The second type are analog legacy materials, be they analog videos or glass plate negatives or tapes, audio tapes, which are part of a digitization project. When digitizing or producing any kind of digital materials, you're also going to be generating metadata regarding who owns the intellectual property, what procedure's been used for its digitization, and other materials like accompanying images, or in the case of videos, some sound clips possibly. In the case of still images, there'll be a lot of details about the original objects which need to be managed and catalogued. So when building your repository for your digital objects, for your collection of digital items, you need to look at how to manage the resources, preserve them for long-term archiving, and curate them to make them suitable and accessible for your audience, your target audience. A lot of that is to do with managing the metadata and cataloging it all correctly. Once your materials are in a form in the repository with which you're happy, you then need to decide on how they're going to be delivered to the audience. Obviously, the most popular method for this at the moment is the internet, via a website or a web resource. But also it may be a VLE or another closed environment within an institution. Again, those are going to be considerations which will be determined by your project.
Delivery may also be postponed because the facilities may not be in place yet to offer those to your users.
And once it is out there and being used, once your users are interacting with the content, reusing it within their own projects and their own materials, then they'll be tagging it as well, changing the resources themselves, changing the metadata that goes with them in a very interactive way that it really is quite particular to digital objects and one of their strengths. And this change to the metadata is going to be something you can then reincorporate into your repositories and make that a part of the object itself, and then something that your users can access to inform them about its previous use and its previous life cycle. So really that covers pretty much all of the elements of the digital life cycle. Your materials will fit into it at some point. Your workflows will probably be moving between at least one or two of these areas, and hopefully an overview of how the whole life cycle works will help you to create a workflow which can be reproduced, which will help in quality control and the consistency of the materials you're producing.
As we said at the beginning, this is an illustration, and so you do need to consider elements such as the legal side before you can be sure that you can undertake this entire process.
Absolutely, that will be part perhaps of your content delivery workflow, looking at the legal requirements for delivering to a public audience or within a closed VLE. There are going to be different requirements for objects being delivered to different people via different means. So our resources at Just Digital Media, many of them can be accessed via the website, which is justdigitalmedia.ac.uk.
We have our advice documents, many of which cover workflows. We've got case studies, which also may be of value and link to what we're talking about here.
And there's quite a bit of very specific technical advice on how to digitize and produce materials as well. There's our online surgery, which is held every 2 weeks via the website on a Wednesday currently. And we run a quite active blog where we just talk about all sorts of technical issues which have relevance to teaching and learning.
And if you have any technical problems, we have a help desk which you can contact via our website. We endeavour to answer questions quite promptly.
So that's just a quick overview of the digital life cycle, how we support it, and hopefully we'll give you an idea of how your project may fit into that overall life cycle. If you've got any further questions for us, please do email us at info@justdigitalmedia.ac.uk, or you can follow us on Twitter, Just Digital, and subscribe to our blog and other RSS feeds via the website, justdigitalmedia.ac.uk. Thanks very much for listening. Cheers.